And ladies and gentlemen, the match between India and Pakistan on October 14th at the World Cup tournament ended with a resounding victory for India, who won by 7 wickets. However, the aftermath of the game was marred by controversy as the focus shifted from the thrilling match to the Jai Shri Ram slogans that were raised to cheer Team India. These slogans were even chanted when Pakistan cricketer Mohammad Rizwan was leaving the field after being dismissed. First, listen in to what happened, because this is very, very significant in the context of what Danish Kaneria has told us here at Times Now.
Jai Shri Ram, 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 Jai Shri Ram.
Newshour at 10. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And let's take this across to our guest joining us live. Sushil Pandit is an activist joining us on the broadcast. Also is Rahul Ishwar, activist. Rajinder Amarnath is a former cricketer joining us on the broadcast. Kamar Chima is a political analyst joining us from Pakistan. Faraz Saeed is also a political analyst joining us from Pakistan. Rajinder Amarnath, I want to come to you first as a cricketer, as somebody who's been on the field. You know, this is something that many cricketers have said happens in cricket matches, especially when you're not on your home turf. There is some amount of, what can I say, different kind of culture or different kind of, approach that the fans may have towards you. In this case, what Danish Kaneria says is that Jai Shri Ram is just a greeting. Is it something that the players from Pakistan should take offense to, where in Pakistan, for instance, the greeting may be salam?
Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. Now, I want to put everything in a correct perspective as far as cricket field is concerned. When you go to a country where you're not comfortable, then you're always finding some excuse once you lose a match. And this is what we have seen with the Pakistani team. And as far as chanting of Jai Shri Ram is concerned, I think it's a greeting. It's a very common greeting. I do it in the morning when I go for a walk. There's somebody far away. You just cannot reach with Ram Ram. You just loudly say Jai Shri Ram. Instead of saying good morning, you say Ram Ram. So there's nothing wrong in chanting that greetings. It's only there is a miscommunication. Probably the Pakistani team do not understand the meaning of Jai Shri Ram. And they have taken offense because it comes from the Hindu majority, which is rather unfortunate. And when Indian team used to go to Pakistan, they also faced similar things from the crowd at Multan, Karachi, Lahore. Indians never made an issue out of it. And I fail to understand why Pakistan team is making an issue of it, especially their cricket coach, Mickey Arthur. Probably his head is on the chopping board. So he's trying to find some excuse and trying to stay in that seat, which is becoming hotter with every match, especially after losing to Afghanistan. So I personally feel they're unnecessarily making an issue out of it. They should just concentrate on cricket, play good cricket. This is what we want Pakistan to do. Instead of getting into things which is not connected with cricket. Let's not connect politics with cricket. Let's not connect religion with cricket. Let's play cricket as cricket should be played.
Right. Let me bring in fact, Faraz on that. Faraz Saeed, do you agree with the views of Rajinder Amarnath? He's been a cricketer himself. And he says that, you may be in a country where you're not familiar with the surroundings. And is it a fact that the Pakistan team, because this is exactly what Danish Kaneria has also said. He said the Pakistan team is trying to do everything but play good cricket. If they're focused on the game, half the energy that they're spending in trying to find excuses, perhaps the performance would be better. And after a dismal performance, including a defeat with Afghanistan, and as Mr. Amarnath has just observed, with the coach's job perhaps on the chopping block, is it just all of that that we are seeing? The prevarication, the excuse-making, is it just part of that?
Mr. Amarnath is absolutely right. I mean, cricketers should focus on playing cricket rather than engaging in politicking or cheering about what the audience was reacting to using their own religious symbols. I mean, whenever there's cricket matches in Muslim majority countries, for instance, when there's a UAE and Pakistan is playing against another team, there is Allahu Akbar chant. And Allahu Akbar does not mean that we're talking something bad about it. It's of course that's Muslims' way of rejoicing. If the audience again during Pakistan match said Jai Shri Ram, it's their way of rejoicing, their victory. Nothing have to do with politics, and nothing have to do with why the audience is jeering in one way or the other. I mean, however, I have to make a point here that cricketers who are participating in this ongoing World Cup matches are not directly involved into this politicking, because again, it is the social media, it is the media on either side of the borders engaged into this ludicrous kind of debate where why is such kind of jeering is acceptable? Why are the audience making such kind of remarks? Because again, cricketers are not engaging.
But Faraz, if I may come in on the point you're just making, there is a fact that there are cricketers who have, for instance, dedicated their winning knocks to the cause of Palestine. If that is not a political statement, what is, sir?
I mean, we did, but not in the cricket ground. That is on social media. That was not in US cricket ground. That was not during or for the fact after the match presentation, or even during the presser after the match. That was completely on a different way, different zone. I mean, one thing is any kind of team, but that was not on cricket ground, that was not on the play field, and I think ICC made it absolutely clear that they have nothing to do with violation of rules.
Nevertheless, that is a political position, and it's a fact that the ICC has also been approached by the Pakistan Cricket Board on this. Let me, there's a problem with the audio line, we'll just try and fix that for us, but let me take a word from Sushil Pandit on that. Sushil Pandit, how do you consider this particular response coming in from Faraz Saeed? He says that that statement should not be construed because it's not made while the game was on or on the cricketing field, and therefore the ICC has also perhaps, let it go. The point that is being made over here is that rather than engaging in politics, keeping cricket and politics aside, keeping cricket and religion aside is a very, very desirable motive, but the point is that's not what we quite see happening, and it's been happening for some time now.
Madhav, I mean, hypocrisy dies 1,000 deaths when you hear this kind of prevarication. What kind of excuses do you make when the players in every breath say Inshallah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Masha'Allah, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, and then dedicate their knocks to this, that and the other, bend down and offer namaz at the pitch, all kinds of religious symbolism is invoked, and then they object at somebody else who's not even half as religious. Sri Ram is in the soul of India. Our army, which is absolutely secular, Jawans to their officers say Ram Ram through the length and breadth of the country. And we are not a jihadi army which has a motto called, Taqwa, Iman, Jihad, Fi Sabilillah. We are a secular country. So, this hypocrisy, and then with a brazen face defending it with all kinds of excuses and prevarication takes the cake. I mean, there is no room to argue here. I didn't have to say a word for people to realize how hypocritical this is, Madhav. I mean, how does one argue with someone who is just in a plain, simple denial? If you are on a sincere ground examining things objectively, I can argue. But if you are in denial, if you lie through your teeth, I mean, I have no arguments to offer.
Absolutely. And in fact, let me take this question across to Kamar Chima. Kamar Chima, there have been several instances, for instance, the kind of comment that was made by former Pakistan pacer Waqar Younis. He said that Mohammad Rizwan offering namaz during India versus Pakistan T20 World Cup clash in 2021 in front of Hindus was very special. He, of course, later apologized for the comment. But that's not the only comment. There are several comments, including by Shoaib Malik, etc. You would know about them because they've been quite controversial, that have been made by players from Pakistan. So what Sushil Pandit is in a sense saying is that what one does on the cricket field, if the other side does it, then it's a problem. But if we do it, then it's correct. That's the approach of Pakistan. Kumar Shima.
Well, I think the fundamental question is why Indians are trying to bring religion into these sports. Why you are trying to bring all that religious?
But is India the first country to do that? Well, Mr. Pandit is saying that it's actually the Pakistan players who've been doing that for some time.
So first of all, if the people want to call Jai Shri Ram wherever they want, they have a right. That's a fundamental right. But I think the Indian government, presently the BJP and some section of Indian media, they are supporting the government in chanting such kind of slogans to win the coming elections. I can just see these days Prime Minister Modi is tweeting every victory of a sportsman. He will never tweet victory of any sportsman in the past, but now he's doing it because he wants to win over the youth in India. He wants to win over the youth in India. He wants to tell them that I am 70 years old, but I am still young man. I represent the young population of India. But the point is, do not bring religion. Okay,
you have a problem with the Prime Minister of the country congratulating someone for winning a world championship or an Olympic medal.
You have problem.
Kumar Chima, if that doesn't happen in your country, then there's a serious problem in your country. That's all I can say. And he's certainly not the first PM to do that. Yeah, Rahul wants to respond. I'm going to come to you in just a minute. Yes.
Thank you. I know. First of all, thank you, Kamarji, for pointing out that our PM is a very young person. Yes, he's young at heart, and I think that's a very good quality that everyone need to have. Even the former cricketing legend, we all love, Imran Khan, rightly pointed out that India's status, passport, and prestige has, really grown up under Modi ji's government. And right now, India has that independence in the world stage, was set by a cricketing legend, a former premier of Pakistan. See, 2 points are here. It's natural to raise slogans, or it is natural to have expressions of happiness. It is very normal. And Ram Ram is such a cultural slogan that is embedded in India. That's the reason why one of the spiritual fathers of Pakistan, Muhammad Iqbal, one of the great poets, Muhammad Iqbal used to call Ram Imam-e-Hind, meaning that he's a spiritual leader of India. And Ram is perhaps the most celebrated icon in the largest Muslim majority nation called Indonesia in the world, where Ram Muhammad is a common name and Sri Ram is considered a great icon, where Ramayana celebrations are there. So Ram in effect is a great culture of India, Asia and the world at large. And these things have to be taken into account. And second, it is very unfortunate. See, these people express happiness. We see it as some kind of competition. We derive pleasure. It is unfortunate that if somebody is picking out, cherry picking and pointing out. And one more important thing Danish Canary has rightly said is he faced discrimination there. That's one thing we have to. A cricketer of his stature, a person who the world knows, one of the excellent spinners they had, he's saying that I'm facing all this is something that should be deliberate and discussed too. I don't think anybody, whether it is Mohammad Sami or anybody in Indian team, will ever say that, because we love and cherish our cricketers to a great extent beyond religion. So
absolutely.
these are some important facts that our Pakistani friends should remember.
Yeah, Kamar Chima, respond to that, because that's a serious concern. He says that I faced discrimination. If I had converted, I would have probably been made the captain. But he takes the name of Shahid Afridi. Of course, he said this in the past as well. And he says that the kind of harassment that was meted out to him, whether he was having a meal, whether he was on the field, whether he was in the dressing room, it's a continuous process. And that really is something that finished his career.
Well, I believe that harassment to Hindus in Pakistan and harassment to Muslims in India must stop. I think these both things are not in spirit of the constitution of both the countries. So I
is it comparable, sir?
The majority of the Hindus.
Danish Kanaria, Mr. Chima, is only the second Hindu ever in your national team, and that's certainly not the case of the Indian team. Please, so I don't think you can even compare the treatment of minorities when it comes to sports.
Hindus are not getting a fair deal in Pakistan. Similarly, Muslims are not getting a fair deal in India.
No, sir, please don't compare.
I don't think there's a comparison there to be made.
That's an atrocious statement. Just one submission with all due respect. Our greatest president name is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Our greatest soldier name is Paramveer Chakra Abdul Hamid.
Kamar Ji, listen to Rahul Ishwar. He's responding to the point you made. Just listen to him. You can respond to him. You can respond to him. Kamar Ji, just 1 second. Let Rahul come in. You can respond to the points he's making.
Just one submission with all due respect.
Just a second, Kamar Chima. Just a second. Just listen to what Rahul has to say.
One submission. Just one submission. With all due respect to Pakistan, please don't compare a religious state of Pakistan to a secularistic state of India. We have our greatest president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and we still cherish him. Our greatest warrior is Paramveer Chakra Abdul Hamid, and we have great Alaraka Rahubans and Rasul Puputi who will win Oscar for us. There may be minor problems, but please don't compare us to Pakistan. That is unfortunate, demeaning, and totally misleading.
So you burn Muslims You burn
No,
Christians,
please.
one
Sir, please don't make that a generalization. That's too broad a generalization to make, Kamar Chima. There have been incidents, I would admit, but the kind of scale on which incidents happen in Pakistan is just not comparable. Let me bring in Sushil Pandit.
Come on, grow up.
No, there's nothing to grow up here, sir. It's a fact. We are a secular democracy. Pakistan is not. Sushil Pandit.
Burning churches and burning Muslims is not secularism. In India. Don't call this secularism.
Let Sushil Pandit respond to your charge.
I would live to see a day. I never thought I'd live to see a day that a guy like Kamar Chima will tell us, please don't mix religion in your politics. This country where he comes from
that will make
is
PM Modi
steeped
win
in
elections.
bigotry from top to bottom. From top to bottom. You don't even have elections. We at least have elections to win or lose.
We are an Islamic
You don't
country.
even know
You are
what
a secular
democracy
country.
is.
Why you
don't
burn churches and why you burn
absolutely, which has nothing
mosques?
to do with democracy.
That's a question, my
so
friend.
please do not preach us secularism.
The word
You are
asks
the
you
last ones to
question.
preach
The word
secularism
is
to
asking you
us.
question,
You are the
why
last
you
ones to
burn
preach
churches?
democracy to us.
Why
You are the
150
last
churches
ones
were
to
burnt in
preach
Manipur?
fair play
The
on us.
European Commission,
We
the
have
United
a thriving
Nations,
Muslim
the
population.
Western world is
Let me
asking
go by.
you a
Even save your
Can
Hindus.
you answer this
What is
question?
the level of-
Or
what
you
is
will
the
keep
census
supporting
count in
Prime
the
Minister
Hindus?
Modi's
Kamar Chima.
What question?
Kamar Chima, just answer one simple question. What has happened to the proportion of the Hindu population in Pakistan, and what is the proportion of minorities in India, whether Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Parsi, Jain, Buddhist? You just have to do a calculation of what has happened over the last 75 years, 76 years to look at what really has transpired. It's a fact that minorities have been treated very badly. The point is that if an international level cricket player says that I've been discriminated against, one only shudders to think what the Aam Aadmi is going through in Pakistan.
What I am saying is that for the last 75 years, I fully agree that the minorities are not getting a fair deal in Pakistan. But let's remember that the Muslims and the Sikhs and
Fair
the
deal?
Christians
They
are
have
not
been
getting a fair deal
exterminated.
in India.
They've been
Bhai, the Christians and the Muslims are burnt alive. The Christians and the Muslims are
Sir, please, Kamar Chima, there are specific incidents of law and order which you are referring to. Please don't compare it to what's happening in Pakistan, where people are picked up, they are abducted, young girls are assaulted sexually. This is not the kind of thing that happens in India. Yes, there have been certain incidents, but not on the scale that it's happening in Pakistan, the way it goes unpunished in Pakistan. There is a legal system here. There are people to speak up for them. There is a National Human Rights Commission. There are state governments, courts, police, which all do their job, unlike what's happening in Pakistan, sir.
But we don't burn Hindus. The way you burn Muslims, we don't burn that.
Oh my God.
For the Pakistani culture.
My God.
We don't.
My God. No, we only taunt our leg spinners if they are Hindus, if they are in the minority, so that they cannot, proceed in their careers, and we finish off their careers. That's all we do. We don't burn them. That's all we do. That's what you're saying.
India, that's a fundamental question which I'm asking you. Can you stop burning churches? The European Union is asking stop burning churches.
Which is the church that was burnt last? Please tell me.
150 churches were
Kamar
burnt in
Chima, since you know so much about churches being burnt, tell me, which is the last church that was burnt according to you?
Morality doesn't suit India.
You don't have facts at your hand. You're speaking completely in the air in generalizations without an iota or a shred of evidence, Kamar Chima. That's the problem. That is exactly the problem with this kind of line of argument. Let me bring in some of the other panelists. Let me bring in some of the panelists. Okay, one by one. Yeah, Sushil Pandit wants to quickly respond to you, and then I go across to the others. Yes.
Madhav, you've got a panelist from Pakistan who's in complete denial, absolute denial. You say that somebody is burning churches. You have finished the Christian population. You have finished the Hindu population. You have no temples and churches left to burn or destroy. That is the state of minorities in Pakistan. You have no Parsis or Buddhists left to even count in census. I will never set foot in Pakistan even dead.
The European Union is asking India.
Nobody wants to come to Pakistan.
The European Union is asking India to explain
European Union is pushing back. In European Union, the largest number of people in jails are Pakistanis. Do you know that? European Union is building measures to keep Pakistan away.
Modi didn't speak a single word when the churches were burned in India.
Pakistanis are dying by drowning in the Mediterranean Sea.
He let those riots happen for months in India.
Kamar Chima, at a time when people are fleeing your country, running it like in droves out of your country to other countries, and the entire economy is collapsed. Nobody knows who's leading your country. Your military is in a complete state of chaos, and minorities are treated so badly. You're pointing fingers at India, where none of these things are actually happening. Let's first come to terms with that reality. But before I go across to others, let me bring in Rajinder Amarnath. Rajinder Amarnath, what we've seen in the last few years is there have been several incidents. There have been several incidents where, religion has been invoked. We all remember what Shoaib Malik said. I apologize to all the Muslim countries. Why? Because we lost to India. We all know what has happened where, that entire episode of offering namaz on the field, etc. happened. The point is, these are repeated statements that have come out from Pakistan's side, which many say are extremely, are invoking religion. But when it happens on this side, they have a huge problem with it. Isn't this hypocrisy? Isn't this double standards, or the textbook definition of it?
Madhav, I'm not surprised by these statements. This is something that is not new to me. I know the Pakistan cricket history probably better than anybody on the panel. India started the first series in 1952 when India invited Pakistan to India. And they were very well treated on their arrival from Atari border to Amritsar. And India won the first test match at Delhi and lost the second test match at Lucknow. And my father was leading the team at that time, the Indian team, and Kardar was leading Pakistan. My father was the first one who congratulated the Pakistan team on the field for winning the match, and also the batsman who scored the century. But the newspapers in Pakistan, there was no media as today's media in 1952. But the report which came out in Pakistan newspapers shocked the Indian team and especially my father when they wrote that nobody clapped when a Pakistani player got a century. And they were chanting the same slogans against the Pakistani team, what we've been hearing now. So this is something which doesn't surprise me when Pakistani cricketers also come out with such statements. And then subsequently when Indian team went to Pakistan in 1978, after a gap of 18 years, from 1960 to 1978, there was no cricket between Pakistan and India. And then it was considered a cricket diplomacy by Indian government to have better relations with Pakistan. But what they got in return was shocking, especially the match at Sialkot, when India had to forfeit the match because they were hand in glove with the umpire, not giving wides, and Indian players could not even reach the ball. And after the match, General Ziaul Haq went to the Pakistani dressing room and congratulated every Pakistani team for winning the series, which they were not to win if they had lost 2-1. So if Modi is promoting sports in India and Modi is everywhere, how does it bother? I think Chima Saab does more Modi talking in his bedroom and in his mosque than anywhere else, I personally feel.
Okay. We'll have to leave it there. Beyond the politics, at the end of the day, there is a tension. When it comes to India-Pakistan matches, certainly there is a passion on either side that is evoked. The point is that rather than pointing fingers, to take it as it is in a sportsman's spirit and to treat a match as just that, a match, especially at a time when the Pakistan team's welcome here in India has been at a scale that perhaps no other team has actually received. And that's actually what makes this entire controversy that much more ironic, because there's also a section here in India which claims that the disproportionate welcome that has been received by the Pakistan team perhaps was not due. But we'll have to leave it there for the moment. Danish Kaneria speaking exclusively to us, of course, has sparked off a massive debate, and we'll be hearing a lot more on that in coming days. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this debate on the Newshour Agenda.